I'd like to call to order the Charter Township of Comstock Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of Monday, November 10th, 2025. I will note that we have two commissioners absent, Brett Patchett and Patrick Very. Moving on. To the consent agenda items. The meeting minutes, the GL distribution report, and the newly passed out mercantile bill.
You didn't approve the agenda, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Are there any questions or concerns with the agenda? Okay, the agenda is approved. Okay. Are there any concerns on the consent agenda items? Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda, including the meeting minutes from October 13th, the GL distribution report, and the mercantile bill.
Okay. And no objections? And motion carried. There are no visitors present. There are no presentations. Okay. Moving on to business items. We have the 2026 Robert Morris Park Veteran Passes.
So if you remember, I don't think it was until more like July of this year, the Veteran Services has approached us. They're doing a countywide initiative to offer free park passes to veterans, and we did partner with them for that. So for this year, kind of capping it out, they had 20 passes that they gave out, and with us approving the fees last meeting and the park passes now being available as of November 1st, wanted to get it approved to have passes, again, free for the veterans, going through the same means as this year, with them having to go to the veterans office and get kind of verified, I guess, through their office, and them handing out a survey and kind of collecting the information that we would collect here. So that is what I'm asking. They're asking.
Okay, the survey was included in the packet.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on that survey?
So this would be to continue through the year 2026 till January?
Correct. This would be for the 2026 passes.
Just a comment on the survey. So, so there's a very young group and then mostly older group.
Mm-hmm.
20 to 24 or 25 to 29
Mm-hmm.
group. Over 50. And that seems to coincide with a lot of walking and picnicking, those kinds of activities.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 passes were given.
Correct. So we do have the information on, name, license number, all that kind of stuff that we collect in the office or at the park.
So that would also include again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is there any other discussion? Is there a motion to secure passes again for the next year?
I will move to approve free passes for veterans to Robert Morris Park for the year 2026.
No objections? So motion carried. The next item on the agenda is staff annual review. And just remind everyone that we don't want to discuss personal information at this time on any individual. But we did receive the annual evaluation from our Parks Director, and she did make a recommendation regarding going on this next cycle, which sorry. Okay, so the recommendation is to receive the COLA adjustment, which we think is going to be approximately 3%. We want to be, I would suggest we're consistent with the township COLA determination. And then as well as a merit increase, which is recommended by the Parks Director, and as I understand it, is similar to what has been received in the last 2 previous years as well for this individual. So this is in recognition for exceptional performance, initiative, and ongoing contribution. So is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
Has the township officially said what they're doing?
No, with the election this last week, they haven't had their November meeting, so it's supposed to be at next Monday's meeting that they, I believe, approve the budget. I don't know how many, I think there's a few approval processes, but the recommendation will be that 3%, which is come up nationally, not our township board deciding.
I mean, pretty certain that that's what it's going to be, or, I mean, would we be smart to wait until after they make the official?
I guess you could. I would also say that the recommendation will be 3%. Whether or not the township board approves that for their side of things, it is the Parks Board's option to approve it for
But we
our
usually
people.
try to be consistent.
We try to be close
consistent
to
with the township. And if, I mean, the time frame really begins January 1st, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, it's up to you, but we could wait and see what the township actually, their final decision is, and then.
We could also make a motion to approve this at the COLA set by the township so that it's done.
Sure.
And moving on.
I guess if you can do it that way,
Yeah.
not be specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would make the motion to approve the recommended cost of living increase at the percentage as which the township then decides, with the recommended 2% merit increase for the step in recognition of his performance.
Thank you.
No objection. Motion passed. The next item on the agenda is the Cooper Park Kalamazoo Nature Center review. And there's quite a lot of information to absorb here.
Yes, so I gave you kind of the piece that she had called, the lady who had met with me out at the Kalamazoo Nature Center did a review for us, and I gave you the information that she had called out in her report, which is in the first couple of pages. If you want the entire pack or like book, you can let me know and I can give it to you, but it is like 97 pages, so I gave you the core to what she was calling out in it. So basically, it is giving us different recommendations on what we can do to address not only the lily pads, but to kind of look at the park as a whole and what we want to do for like land management. So in addition to that she gave us, we also talked about doing Kalamazoo Nature Center volunteer-led invasive species polls out at the park. So those would be, I believe, 6 sessions from, where is it, May through, is it October or November? Sorry, 6 sessions from May through October. So they would provide everything. We would just have our volunteers that that we get to come out and help us. So it is a fair amount of money, but I think it's a good step in getting our volunteer program up and running, because it's something that we've talked about but haven't actually necessarily done before. And then their expertise on how we need to manage this park. My hope would be that we work with them for at least 1 year, and then maybe in the future we don't necessarily have to work with them in the years to come, but gives us a good idea, understanding that park a little bit better. So in addition to that, I didn't know if I needed to get that approved, but I also think that we should basically, like pulling weeds, pull some of the lily pads from the pond to kind of make the fishermen happy. Getting mixed reviews from different sources saying whether or not that this is a fishing pond, but regardless, we do see people fishing at that pond. So I think doing a little bit to kind of satisfy that group of people would be a good thing to provide. So it would be us kind of deciding what area would be a good area to clear some of the lily pads and doing it that way. In her recommendation, in the packets recommendation, we can either do it twice a year or once a year. The whole schedule falls in line with when we have seasonal help. So whether we do that with some of our seasonals, whether it's more of our maintenance and me and our program coordinator kind of jumping in to do it, or it's something that we can kind of pull from our volunteers that we get. I do think that we're going to be able to get some volunteers for this. I do get calls occasionally about volunteer opportunities. And then, as you probably remember, there are interested citizens already in that park specifically. So I think it would be more than likely more evening and weekend kind of things, but I think it's very doable to do a project like this. For the volunteer project, like I said, it was 6 sessions and it is $4,425, and it's about, where was that? Per session is about $705. So I didn't know if I needed to get that approved by the board before signing off on it. So kind of a lot of information.
Those dollar amounts were what again?
Per session, it's $705. For the grand total for 6 sessions, it's $4,425.
Go ahead.
That involves the people from the Nature Center coming out and kind of orchestrating all of this and.
Correct.
Okay.
So the way they have it broken down is herbicide and equipment, laborer for a projected lead, a labor supporting crew is another person, so it sounds like they'd have 2 Kalamazoo Nature Center staff. We do have to pay for some mileage, and then the project management, and they provide everything.
It's your belief that this should be done?
I think so. I think it's kind of I don't want to say neglected, but since we do for years, it sounds like have been getting a lot of comments about Cooper Park. I think this is a way to take care of that park a little bit differently.
I have a question about the lily pads and where people fish. And I know we've seen people fish along there, but has that location been consistent? And maybe that's an area just to focus on to remove the lily pads.
I would consult some of the other staff, Joe. But from my memory, what I usually see people just to the right of the waterfall and just to like the left of the waterfall, kind of on the benches there. Okay. So I would kind of meet with him a little bit and see like what's, an area that we should do. This would kind of coincide with the idea of putting out informational signs at 1.2, because one of the things that is probably more obvious, but for me who's not a fisherman, I don't know these things. When we pull the lily pads, the fish are gonna go where the lily pads are because that's their habitat to hide. Okay. So it's a little bit of, combating that, but at the same time to open up the water a little bit so that if someone does put a fish line in there, that their little bobber will hopefully not get eaten up as quickly. So I'm only talking about just a little bit of pulling lily pads, kind of see how it goes. It is something that's going to come back every year. So this is something that we're potentially going to have to do once a year, twice a year. There is some equipment that we can buy to kind of help us, and that is like $200 to $500 at like the high end. So I would aim for more of that $200 amount piece of equipment, see how that goes, and kind of build slowly to kind of listen to what the community has been saying and trying to help out a little bit.
Yeah, I find this a appropriate and educated way of doing it. I think it's low impact cost, and things can regrow if for some reason we inadvertently pull some of the wrong vegetation or whatever. I was just curious, would we consider Pier Park part of that same waterway? And would that be something that we would consider as well at some point?
I think it should be considered. Right now, the focus was just Cooper, but I think it'll be, next step would also be looking at Pier and making sure that we kind of match that up.
Yeah, also looking forward beyond that, we're looking at working with Jan Shaw River Village Rail and so on. And if we're successful with this endeavor, group exercise, maybe it would be good to survey that area too and do the same thing. But we can go step by step, see how well it goes, with Cooper.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Starting to work at Cooper, but then being able to apply some of these things to all of the parks, really. Yeah. At one point.
Yeah, I don't see it as something that you need approval from us on. I think the discussion point is relevant.
Sure.
That I think you're looking for support, but I don't think it would carry a formal motion. No, it's within your spending limits for sure.
Okay.
I would just like to also bring up the signage for the survey that was gone through, identifying the different species, even for the, casual park visitor or fisher person, who's there. It's good to see those,
I think
so. Because they're not always going to be there to hear, the lecture or be part of the group necessarily. And so we should probably move on that, I think, to get some information out there. And I know that I'm not sure if it's the neighborhood group or the Nature Center itself has offered,
I think both. So
yeah, to actually get that, bring that to fruition. So we'd want to follow up on that too.
My hope would be that we could have those installed by, that April, May timeframe.
Okay, great. That's good. Any further discussion on that topic? Okay. All right, the next item is Robert Moore's Concessions.
So I was able to get in contact with a vending machine company, and very quickly told me that there's a minimum of $100 that needs to be made per week for them to have a machine out there, and then they don't leave the machines outside. So we'd have to figure out a way to bring the machines inside. So I think that kind of puts a end to that. I did look back at our concession stand numbers, and it does vary from year to year, but with this last year and what I would, if I were to guess, would be most common. Let's see, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday are our highest revenue days. With Thursday, we have that disc golf league, so that's why there's a high number there. We are only talking about $248.25, but then on Saturday, it was $615 this last year, and Sunday was $429. So if the idea is that we do want to still be able to provide this service, I thought a little bit more about, do we have it open on the hour from 11 to 6 or whatever, but just thinking through that, I feel like the staff would, I need to be at the concession stand at 1 o'clock. It is 12:30. They're already going to start slowing down their project that they're working on to make it over to the concession stand to get it ready so that they can start selling at 1. And then if they're in there for 10 to 20 minutes, then they have to close down a little bit, because you're talking about like the cash box, things like that. So there's going to be set up and kind of tear down. So then you're talking, it's already about 1:30, between 1:20 and 1:30. So then basically the process is going to start all over again, that by the time they get out to whatever project that they were working on, it's almost not worth it, especially when we know that it might not be worth it revenue wise. So my thought would be a recommendation, if you do want to still provide the service, that we only provide the service on Thursday's kind of up in the air for me, but Saturday and Sunday, when we do know that that's the highest number of people that are coming in, those are the highest revenue days, and kind of seeing how things go with that. I wouldn't think that there'd be too many projects that people are going to be working on Saturday and Sunday because there is more park activity. So you could kind of, I don't want to say justify it, but I think there's more justification to maybe have it open on that Saturday and Sunday to provide that service, and still thinking about what our staff is doing and accountability on what they should and shouldn't be doing. So I would say my recommendation is either we have it open on Saturday and Sunday, Thursday's kind of in the air, or not at all for the summer.
What about holidays, if that happens to fall on a weekend?
Sure. I would say those are outliers that, yes, we probably would, if we do have it open at all, or it could just be those holidays, that it would be like for Memorial Day, probably that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Labor Day, maybe Friday. Labor Day really isn't that popular, but again, maybe a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or seeing how Memorial Day worked, and if we just want to do the weekend or just the holiday. But I don't think it's a good idea to have it open 7 days a week, I could say. So certainly it's something that we can think about. It doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow. I would say by, I think February is the concessions order, that if we order ahead of time, we can get a discount. I would say by then would be when we would really want to have a decision on what we want to do, so we can get in those early prices.
I mean, would you think about, currently, I mean, this past year, you've sold hot dogs and things.
Right.
Obviously, more perishable buns and hot dogs and
Yeah.
so forth like that. And so then if you're not selling anything, those are just wasted, right? I mean,
Correct. Yep.
I mean, would you think about, redefining what you're going to offer to maybe just drinks and ice cream, or, something like that? Or do you still think that you sell enough?
The hard part is that one of the higher selling items was hot dogs.
Okay.
So that's kind of what people are going there for. But if I know that you could try to make it work. So knowing that it's not going to be 7 days a week that you're trying to sell hot dogs, you can work with the expiration date on the hot dog buns.
I mean, obviously, the weather is such a factor, because if it's a hot weekend, the park is busy. If it's cold and rainy, you've got nobody.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nice to be able to offer something, but
I was just wondering if there's anything other than just hot dogs that might be something that could be frozen and then microwavable.
We do the pretzels.
Okay.
I
But
can't
like
remember.
That doesn't like buns go bad,
Correct.
week to week, or
Correct.
hot dogs. I think hot dogs last forever, but
And so really, it's just the hot dog buns that's the perishable item. For whatever reason, the chips that we get will expire sooner than I think that they should. We're getting them at a poor point. But I think regardless of when we're open, I think consolidating what we're offering and how much of what we're offering. I don't think we need to sell as much candy as we have been. But I will say that the last 2 or 3 years, we see what has sold and what hasn't, and we don't sell some of those things going into the next year. So it's a learning.
I mean, could you narrow the hours, instead of 9 o'clock until you close at 8 o'clock at night or something, just have it
We
during?
were doing 11 to 6 or 7.
Okay, but I mean, are you still selling stuff, after 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Or, I mean, is there a way you can tell that maybe there's certain hours that are?
That I'm not sure. Given the amount that we sold, I'm thinking it's not going to be, it's just going to be sporadic, that you'll catch some people at 11, you won't other days. So that, it's hard to know when people are going to be there and when to have it
it's
open.
so driven on the weather.
yeah, the numbers tell us something too, that there's certain timeframes that actually it does work. I'm in support of cutting back our resources and our, how much we put forth, but I think it's still something for that weekend timeframe, that it's something that we still consider. I would like it, though, that we I don't know, the term is table it until we have the full
Sure.
board, but I would like to make that an agenda for next month, that we make a decision and move on,
Okay.
if that's possible. If you guys agree.
No, I think,
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I can bring to you to help? Any other questions that I could try to answer? Not necessarily tonight if I know it, but
Yeah, I don't know enough about the concessions other than what you're reporting, so that would be my only response. I don't know what else more we could try to, what stones we could flip over and find
no,
out
I
more
mean, if
information.
vending machines aren't an option,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
yeah.
yeah, it's either that or you just make it well-known that people need to bring their own refreshments,
Yeah.
that they're not going to be offered due to,
There's no way that we could put something up like on those days that we're not serving that, if in fact this is a service that you wanted, that they can, let us know or something. I don't know.
Sure,
I
yeah.
don't like just cutting something off when it's been in existence for a while.
but if nobody's using it.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, if days go by when you're not selling
Yeah,
anything,
absolutely.
then,
I mean, yes, I think there's a way for us to capture people who are going up to the concession stand that, oh, it's closed, and last year it was open, and I thought it was going to be open, and now it's not.
I mean, obviously, when you sell passes, you could have some information about that, concessions have
we
been
could do that.
discontinued, so just for your information. I mean, at one point, we actually had like a independent person came in. And, he did it basically, I think, to give his kids something to do. And they ran a concession stand there. I don't know how much they sold or whatever, but that was before I think they set up their own little area. I mean, that was before we had the,
Booth.
and then I know even at the softball complex, at the very beginning, it was an independent person who offered concessions and then split some of the profits with the parks, but I don't know how that would work.
You could do some simple things like, if someone purchases a full seasonal park pass, that they get $1 off a $10. I mean, just some simple marketing, suggestions as to maybe, drive them towards that they maybe not identify or recognize that we're serving concessions. So, I don't know.
I mean, if you're already selling them at
At
a loss, then you don't.
But it's an incentive to at least go and see what is available,
I have a question regarding the AED item, and if no one's in the concession area, is that, accessible to someone who might
So
head that way for help? And
I would say that it would have to be at the guard shack, and then there'd be, I can't remember if we have a sign that at the concession stand saying that there's one there, but then whatever signage that we have that says it's at the concession, we would now say it's at
okay, just to make sure
guard shack.
people
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
know where that is. Okay.
Excuse me.
I mean, maybe if you come back next time with what you think is the best course of action.
Sure, it's tricky, because,
Just Saturdays and Sundays, and if it is projected to be a rainy weekend or something, then,
maybe call it off that way. It's just hard, because I agree that it's a service that we're not providing anymore, but it's hard when the person's just sitting there, and that creates a certain vibe for work.
if people aren't using it, it's a service we don't need to provide. I mean, if it's not being utilized,
Sure.
we don't need to provide it.
Yeah.
And if people, are fully informed that don't plan on it.
Sure. Okay, I will do that.
Okay, so then that will be the next agenda item, the next meeting, and some recommendations, and I don't know, it might be good to send out a note just because the other guys aren't here to be thinking about the topic and if there are any ideas that they might have. Okay. Okay, moving on. Is there any correspondence?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, moving on to the revenue and expenditure report and the director's report. First one is the expenditure report. Are there any comments or concerns? None noted?
About the
Expenditure report, revenue and expenditure report, okay. And then we can move on to the director's report.
I just have a question, Katie, about Green Meadow Park and this cleanup.
Yeah.
Yes. What was the bill from College Hunks to do that?
So there was an awful lot out there, so they picked everything up and disposed of it.
But I mean, was it $500 or?
I can't, was it not on the, it was,
I think it is on the.
I thought, wasn't it? It's expensive.
Okay,
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
okay,
Yeah, I think it was like 790.
okay, wow.
Like that. So was this more than one campsite, or was it?
it looked like it was 1 or 2 tents. I couldn't tell if it was 2 tents pushed up together or one larger tent, and a lot of like food type garbage, plus like clothes and just that kind of garbage. And it was just too much for our staff to clean up. And then there was also some drug paraphernalia that was found, which was kind of another reason why we wanted to kind of outsource that. So fun things that are happening.
And where along the trail was this?
So if you sorry, I don't have like the directionals, but if you were on the baseball field, I guess, if you were going down the first baseline, so opposite the neighborhood with the long corridor that's open, opposite that, if you walked through the trail that way, maybe I'll say like a 2-minute walk, so closer to the back end of the property. And it was somebody who had, did I say that? Somebody had been walking out there and noticed it, left the area, and then emailed us to let us know.
When we were setting those guides for where the trail was going to be set up, where you're describing, I think, is a similar spot where there was a big giant hole dug and tarps over it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, with Danielle.
Sure.
Well, you may or may not have been involved. And it was just an oddity, but it seemed like it had maybe already established someone, but there was no one around. There was no other properties.
Sure.
Or whatever of theirs. So.
Currently, there is some stuff, about 4 sites that we found at River Villa and Jan Shaw, and just kind of waiting for the snow to melt to be able to get and by that I mean Wednesday, Thursday timeframe, to kind of go back out again and assess again and see if it's something that Joe can handle, or if it's something that we're going to have to call somebody to take care of it for us. And then I'd kind of mentioned before, but with the old football field, one of the reasons why there's a big push to try to get that developed at least a little bit is because it is a park property. We don't necessarily, I don't want to say we don't take care of it, but it's not, we don't take care of it, I guess. But that is another spot where things are popping up.
I had a conversation with Dakota today and found out that this is pretty rampant. Far more than I had realized.
Last year it wasn't very much. It would just be the occasional, not necessarily like homeless encampment, but more that somebody was here and left their stuff behind, and not necessarily tents and all that. And it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. This Green Meadow one was the first one that was really anything other than just.
But he even said the 2 gazebos are being used for activity that
Oh yeah.
was not intended.
The new gazebos?
The 2 gazebos
Yes.
are being used for, anyway, I mean, this is something that is, I consider very detrimental to people enjoying the parks.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
there's a concern about
100%.
safety and,
I do know over at where am I at? The old football fields. What I saw from the parking locations back, if you guys recall the little report I put, under the grove going to the field was where most of that was. But I think in addition, what was a big concern is the property that we are no longer in ownership of, where the tennis courts were. There was an RV that was dilapidated, but looked as if people were living in it. So even if we're trying to control our space and that you can freely walk through from one site to the next, there's also that other area that's even further up and out of our way and probably is more remote and probably more appealing for them. So.
I don't know, this is certainly a concern.
Is our officer still quite busy as he goes, by the parks nearby, picking up things constantly, or our ordinance?
Yes, Dakota is usually, well, between Joe and Dakota, they're the ones who are walking the locations weekly, and they're the ones who find it, so.
I mean, Dakota indicated to me that the old football field is almost a daily, and people can be removed and they're back within hours. So it's indicated to me it's going on daily and multiple times throughout the day. He could be up there.
Correct. It's just, and I'm sure he spoke to it, but he can do as much as he can, and it just doesn't go anywhere. So it's a hard battle.
Okay. I do have a question on Neal Street. I see the playground's complete.
Yes. It's a very fun playground.
Yeah. I was there a couple of times, but it was raining really badly, and there were also construction people. They were trying to pump water out of
They had
the
fun.
area. So it has that then since been filled with good pack dirt?
Yep,
There's no
there is
flooding?
mulch on it,
Okay.
and flooding isn't a concern anymore.
Okay, great.
We will close the pickleball courts on Sunday. I was gonna post on Facebook this week to let people know that we're gonna take the nets down early next week. So it didn't make it into this packet, but.
Okay.
Does anything have to be done to those courts over the winter, or
No, we just want to take the nets down. That's the only.
you have to cover them or anything to maintain them?
Nope.
Is there any plans to notify folks, or maybe in the communicator or on Facebook or wherever, about, the next season for pickleball? Maybe have dates. It's now to tell them, well, it's closed now, but we'll be reopening, in the spring, and so people know kind of what's going on and can plan.
There's also different websites where, find a pickleball court near you type idea that I'll post on those websites to let people know that we have courts available. And then we certainly do Facebook and the communicator.
Okay.
Did you ever do any rules and that kind of thing for the park, or?
We did. It was just on a piece of paper that was laminated that was posted on the side of the building in a glass case.
Okay,
So just real simple right now.
something, Sarah?
Also, the prescribed burn was completed. Is there a report coming, I hope, from?
Excuse me, I can't remember if he said now that it would be December at the earliest that he would have anything to be able to see to report on. And then, I don't know if he was saying December or January. as long as it went the way he thinks it went, that he would have like a calendar, a schedule for all of 2026. And again, that would be, he might propose 10 different dates, but if we get one in, that would be successful. But it was fun. It was interesting that it was not what I would have pictured in my mind, where you have this whole field on fire. It was just very slow moving. A lot of stuff didn't necessarily even take. And I thought it was interesting that there was a spot that had just had fire on it, and then a leaf had fallen onto that spot and nothing happened to it. It didn't catch on fire. It didn't shrivel up. It was fine. And I believe there was maybe 2 people in the park that day, so it didn't impact anybody.
Boo Bash seems to have been a big success.
It was a lot of fun. We kind of had to, I can't think of the brain fog is a real thing, kind of reassess while the event was happening, because last year we had 800 people and there was like 300 people there at noon, where this year, kind of thinking that was going to be how things would happen, this year there was maybe 20 people there at noon. So instead of doing a full-on big scavenger hunt at the very beginning, we decided doing stages of putting out candy every so often and having people who were arriving at whatever time that they wanted to have a chance to do all the activities. So while that was a piece to it, Katie also had a lot of other really fun activities that people could do if they were waiting for that scavenger hunt, or if they were doing something other than just grabbing that candy.
Very good.
Our next event is the holiday event. So lights will start being put up at Merrill Park next week. And then the event is on Friday, December 5th. So if anybody is free and would like to come help us or hang out, and then we'll have the lights up at least through the beginning of the year, if not end of January.
Okay, which tree or trees are being lit?
So we will buy a tree again to have a bigger tree to decorate and do our tree lighting ceremony. We're not going to buy the little trees this year. There wasn't enough community interest to do anything like that. And there was, a little bit of vandalism throughout, so.
Okay, is there anything else? No. All right, moving on. Any announcements? As that brings us to adjournment already. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn this meeting at 6:43 p.m.
No objections, motion passed. It's fast.